Impressions of a reading at Open Book in Long Beach, California. Philip K. Dick on the shelves, and Joni Mitchell singing about clouds, records, and writing, and later words actually spoken whirl in the dusty Long Beach air. A girl with long hair and fiery laughing eyes takes my money and hands me change in a smile that hits me like airplane tires exploding in the sun. Back to LAX. My eyes roll across the dusty floor, through spilled coffee and out the door. Like a cockroach among the ladybugs, I have to leave. I have to become another metal mole on the 405. I see swirls of lights that William Blake could not have imagined in his wildest dreams of heaven and hell. Yellow sparks in the night, and cars everywhere, but no people, no legs, no lips, no hair or hips. Just electrons firing photons through red plastic and tricks of memory. Imagine Francois Boucher standing by the freeway with his wig blown sideways and his big palette and tiny brushes painted with road dust. Imagine a horrible teal green seeping through the craquelure of this oily vision. Vast shards of unbroken plate glass are mirrors. And I guess Joni Mitchell was right, that smoky clouds are angel hair, but where in this tangle of cartwheeling streetlights and spasms have the angels gone? A visit to London. In a few hours, I went from seascapes painted at the dawn of the industrial era to seeing the sea covered with fractured ice from 40,000 feet. In these things, perhaps, the intricate touch of somebody's God. Yet there was traffic everywhere, and the buzz of languages foreign to my ears. I almost saw organ notes bouncing from the ribs of the Gothic vault to the floor and back again in dizzy waves of sound. From London to Las Vegas. Driving from LAS to LAX in a new convertible. Of course, it was too hot to put the top down. Heavy traffic and no exit. Cars flying across the tan desert like a bullet train unhooked. Yes, at one point the mountains do go from tan to red to purple to gold. If you told me this was once and the bed of an ancient sea, I would understand and agree. Imagine huge swimming dinosaurs with teeth like 6-foot razors, swimming 60 feet above this narrow, long concrete road. Continental plates grinding these dusty mountains up through the sand from broken bedrock and deep wells of gravity. Imagine me, small, short-lived, fat monkey man, fueling my flight across this immensity with ancient fern forests compressed into an oily sludge of carbon and made by my brothers and sisters into gasoline. And yes, I am adding my share to the yellow cloud that floats above the valley as I wind down through the San Gabriel Mountains and a taste of fresh mountain air that somehow made it through the air conditioner. Of course, it was too hot to put the top down. again in Las Vegas. Breakfast in Las Vegas. Swirling ribbons of sand, like wisps of snow, sift across the shell-shocked floor, swift as swallows. Hungry melodies wallow in the mist, lips kiss the fist of a desperate darkness. Lights hang from the balcony where gold bars gleam in flickering shadows. Ice cream women with lips like glass smile. Behind them, the choir sings a meaningless scientific song. The slot machines blink like many-colored angels, and frozen birds chirp like tinkling bells. Night shift workers sigh, and white fire falls shimmering from the glimmering plastic sky. This poem is a day trip to Miami. It's about my visit to Miami to see a show of Rembrandt's erotic etchings at the World Erotic Art Museum in South Beach, Miami Beach, Florida. A day trip to Miami. First, floating like some weightless mirage 5 miles up, then riding the bus to South Beach. It occurred to me that Rembrandt would have enjoyed the faces of businessmen etched against the bright daylight of the airplane window, would have understood the woman with tangled hair and the damp pastel decay of Miami, would have wanted to draw the wrinkled face, the gray hair, and old blue eyes reflected in the dirty glass of the Miami-Dade Metro bus window. This next poem is about a visit to the Prado Museum in Madrid, Spain. I went there a few years ago to look at some art that I like. My visit to the Prado Museum I saw an El Greco man in the museum today, gangling arms. I saw pictures of flying gods swarming like all the monkeys of Oz, pictures of conquistadors in gilt frames on guilty walls. Genocidal Nazis, yes, but for all of that, tough sons of bitches in gray painted greaves, reflecting specks of 16th century light. Imagine that light hopping like a rabbit down mullioned halls, vaulting through vast webs of empty black painted space. A woman with a face like a seashell closed a shutter to keep the evening sun from touching the wall. Imagine. I heard a voice crying out in English, too loud in the echoing galleries, cursing. I hoped it was not my voice. I hoped it was not my bloody hands tearing at the gray painted shackles of light and time. This next poem is about Memphis, Tennessee. It's called Incident in Memphis. Sitting outside in a warm, shady breeze on the patio of McDonald's, sipping a Diet Coke, I asked the server about her tattoos. She was very young, maybe 20, and looked hard and sad with pretty gray eyes. I saw the green wall of brush along Thresher Creek, sparrows darting in and out. And cars coming by like giant turbocharged insects. Milky sunlight fell to the ground like old vinyl records, and the breeze whispered that peace and nonviolence may still be possible in this nation, in spite of, or maybe because of, the skinny tattooed arms of a young server girl with pretty, sad, old eyes. As many people who see this, or few people who see this, or whoever sees this, anyway, as most people who know me know, I grew up on a farm I didn't grow up there, I lived on a farm in west central Wisconsin until I was 11 years old. The farm was 6 miles south of a small town called Baldwin. The fields and woodlands are still there pretty much how they were, but the farm is pretty much gone. These two poems are memories of those times. So I apologize for reminiscing, but I'll do it nonetheless. Childhood memory of the farm. I remember how the fields of oats would roll in waves on a windy day, like waves on the ocean that I had never seen. How the sun was hot on dust packed by the alternating V of tread marks from the huge driving wheels of the tractor, the smoothness of the packed dirt like some ultra silk spun from loam and cosmic fire. I remember black and red chickens scratching in the gravel. I remember the hay barn with space between the vertical boards where rows of sunlight brought motes of dusk into visibility, slicing through the gloom. Old hay soft underfoot and rough-hewn beams notched and assembled up to the roof. Unimaginably distant to my young blue eyes. And I'll finish up with one from the farm, memories of the old farm, called The Last Horse and the Tractor. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to look at the art on this video and to listen to my poetry. So here goes The Last Horse and the Tractor. The old John Deere tractor was bought just after the war. I can barely remember the last of the horses, huge and stomping around, led by harness reins. These were not race horses or riding horses, delicate as the frost, but work horses with hooves the size of dinner plates and shaggy coats. I can see my dad with the horse hoof held between his legs, nails in his mouth, nailing horseshoes to the hooves of a big, slow, black workhorse. The last horse was named Black Beauty, and I remember his death. The horse was ill and was standing leaning against the chicken coop. I could hear the cracking and groaning of the wood. It was blue-black night, and the enormous old horse was screaming in a harrowing whinny, almost like a person. The adults were afraid he was going to knock the chicken coop over. I remembered my dad at the old wooden phone that hung on the kitchen wall, cranking up the phone, holding the earpiece, calling his cousin Eric to come with his rifle and I remember the crack of the shot. And then the last of the horses was gone. Gone like childhood, or like yesterday morning. Gone like the sound of an old John Deere tractor sputtering over the hills of my memory. Gone like a rifle shot in the blue, black